Fam, what's up? Good morning. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. I hope you had a great weekend. I know you guys did as Alabama defeats LSU 42-28. Can I get a Roll Tide inside the comment box? Thank you very much for joining me this fine Monday. Here are the topics that we're going to touch on today. Kentucky up next. Alabama opens as a 10-point favorite. Don't let that game be a trap game. Don't let that game be a rat poison game. I want to get your thoughts on Jalen Milroe. And when you call in, you can pick any of the topics on the board. Honestly, I want to just talk with you. It could be college football centric, but here are some topics that I know are hot. What's up? I see you guys inside the comment box. Josh, Steven, Quincy, what's up? I appreciate you guys joining me. And remember, we got Coach Saban at 12 p.m. And we also have Jalen Milroe, who will also be at the podium. What a performance by the young man. 4 rushing touchdowns, finally used his legs to take over a game, beat a Heisman contender in Jaden Daniels. What a game that was, and what a statement game that was. And I know the playoff committee is looking at these marquee wins on the back end of the schedule, and I think it's important too. Let me touch on these quick topics before I take your phone calls. I know you guys are already lined up. We got an 832 and a 256 lined up, and I'll get to you guys in just a second. Thoughts on Kentucky, quickly. Cannot let this be a trap game. These guys have played teams close within the SEC, played Tennessee close. I know Georgia got away from them, but this is a good team. I think going on the road in Lexington presents its own challenges, especially coming off a game like this. You can't start reading the type of news clippings. You can't see where you're ranked in the playoff rankings. It doesn't matter. You got to keep winning. We all know the recipe for Alabama to make the college football playoffs is to simply continue to win. And you want to play an undefeated Georgia team, in my opinion. That's why we're all watching Georgia taking on Ole Miss. That game is pivotal. I think the seeding committee is going to look at where things stand with the SEC. And if Georgia's unbeaten and number one, which I think they should be, by the way, after their victory over Missouri, then you got to put Alabama into the playoffs if they were to beat Georgia undefeated team. We're talking rat poison here. Okay, on Jalen Milroe real quick. Look, it was an incredible performance. I've been high on Jalen Milroe. I've been telling you guys to believe that whole let a naysayer know. That's been coming too. And with 4 rushing touchdowns and the way he was able to distribute the football to his running backs, I really like that. Look, he was inaccurate at times. He missed Isaiah Bond on a touchdown. There was some good coverage from LSU, but his deep ball wasn't there, but his playmaking ability has been there throughout the season, and it's been an amazing journey to follow such a dynamic individual. I think Jalen Milroe is a player that everybody is really falling in love with because of his personality and kind of the maturation that we've continued to see for him throughout this season. It's really been amazing to see the growth of him, and Coach Saban had a lot of positive things to say about Jalen Milroe after the game. Was an incredible performance. Is this a top 4 type team? Look, in my opinion, Alabama is a top 4. I released my own playoff rankings yesterday, and I do have Alabama within the top 4. Is that being homerish? I don't know, possibly. But let me ask you this. Out of the top teams, and we can bring up the graphic and kind of look at it, where are teams playing right now? Where are teams playing today? And I want to know, is the committee ranking this as an overall, or are we looking at where the teams are as of today? I think the playoffs have to be as of right now. Ohio State. Look, these guys were trailing Rutgers 9-7 at the halftime break. If it wasn't for an interception that was returned for a touchdown, who knows what happens in that game. Georgia. I think they should be at the number 1 spot after beating Missouri. That's a really good Missouri team. I like what they brought to the table in that particular game. Number 3, Michigan. I know they haven't played anybody as of yet. Their time is coming because they have Penn State and they do have Ohio State, and all the things continuing to circulate them. With that said, they are putting teams away handedly. Number 4, Florida State. Jordan Travis once again does his thing against Pitt. They win 24-7. Those wide receivers are really good. And really, when you look at comparative scores, which I know you really can't do, Florida State beat LSU kind of the same, almost the same score as Alabama beat LSU, and you take away those 2 missed field goals by Will Riker, those scores are close. That was back in week 1. Here we are back in week 10 or whatever we're in. Washington goes on the road and they're able to beat USC. I thought that was a good win for the Huskies overall. It's just like when you look at these Pac-12 teams and their schedule, and here we're talking about Oregon at the number 6 spot, I just don't think that they've had a strong schedule, honestly. Bring up Oregon's schedule, and I know they played Washington close, but really, I mean, I just don't think that they have the schedule of strength. I asked Jalen Milroe about their ability to be battle tested this year. Look at the gauntlet that Alabama just went through. Okay, you had on the road at Texas A&M. You had Arkansas, who punches above their weight. You have a very good Tennessee team that was ranked, and then you have this last game against LSU, another ranked team. You look at these teams kind of floating around this top 8, top 10. How would those teams fare in those type of games, right? Would they be able to string off 4 consecutive wins? By the way, Alabama has won 7 consecutive games. You look to Texas against Kansas State. Watch that game. Kansas State had an opportunity to put Texas away not once, not twice, maybe 3 times, and was unable to do that. And the Longhorns got out a win in overtime. So when you look to the college football playoff rankings and everything that kind of goes around with that, and I know that that doesn't necessarily matter because it's rat poison. We all know that Alabama's road to the playoff relies on simply them winning. It is what it is, and that's kind of just how I feel about the playoff rankings. Let me get to my next topic real quick. I think I got a little off base there. Put the wrong graphic in. Game balls against LSU. You got to go with Jalen Milroe. I thought that was a fine performance by Jalen Milroe. 4 rushing touchdowns. Did an amazing job when he had to. When playmaking ability comes in big-time games, right? They always say big-time players shine up on big-time games. That's exactly what he did. Give him a game ball. On the defensive side of the ball, you look to guys who really stood out. I think that Dallas Turner did a really great job going up against, a quarterback who was really good, could get out the football really well. I think that Caleb Downs, once again, gets a game ball. He led the team in tackles. It's amazing that he can just continue to lead the team in tackles. He's a freshman. I know that Deontay Lawson went out. We're talking injury reports right now. Deontay Lawson went out. We should get an update on him. Ja'Cory Brooks, he was in an arm sling after the game. We'll get an update on him. And then Jalen Key, I think he had I don't know exactly what his injury was, but Coach Saban will update us today here on Monday. So those are the 3 guys we're watching: Jalen Key, Deontay Lawson, and Ja'Cory Brooks. And I know kind of everything around Ja'Cory Brooks has been, where is he? Why hasn't he been playing more? And I think for the wide receiver's sake, I mean, you look at the wide receivers that have been balling out. I mean, they've all been sophomores, and I talked about that yesterday. As the sophomores are really dynamic on this team. Let's name a couple on the offensive side. Jalen Milroe, he's a redshirt sophomore. Jaden Roberts, he's a redshirt sophomore. The wide receivers, Kobe Prentice, Isaiah Bond, Kendrick Law, Emmanuel Henderson, those guys are all sophomores as well. Tyler Booker's a sophomore. Amari Niblack's a sophomore. So, yeah, was this offense sophomoric at the beginning of the season? Absolutely. We continue to see that growth and maturation as we continue to move throughout the season. Alabama's on a 7-game winning streak. I think that really has to stand out to the playoff committee. Look at where this team has been from week 2 to now. Is there an offensive coordinator out there that wants to deal with Alabama's defense? No, there's not. Is there a DC that wants to deal with Jalen Milroe in Alabama's offense right now? No, there's not. Because when Jalen Milroe is unleashed, like Tommy Rees allowed him to be unleashed on Saturday against LSU, you can't deal with him, right? Acceleration, speed, power. You saw those squat racks come into play when he just bullied LSU multiple occasions. So this is a very dangerous quarterback, and he only continues to get more dangerous as we get going. Alabama's next 3 games, you got Kentucky, you got Chattanooga, you got Auburn. You cannot slip up in any of those games. You have to be able to win those games in 4 quarters of play. Kentucky is going to present challenges, 100%. They have a really good coach, and it's on the road. It's a late season SEC game. You can't sleep on Kentucky, 0%. Chattanooga, you got to do their thing against them, stay healthy. And then Auburn, everybody knows that game can easily go sideways no matter the case. Hugh Freeze has beat Nick Saban twice when he was at Ole Miss. I don't trust Auburn. You just can't look past Auburn in any way, shape, or form, even if you do wrap up the West with the victory over Kentucky. College football rankings talk, I already hit on that. I have Alabama at the number 4 spot. Tell me why you think that Texas right now is better than Alabama right now, as of today. If the playoffs don't start in week 2. Texas beat Alabama head-to-head 1,000,000% in week 2. 100%. And that's a good team. That's a good Texas team. But right now, if they play this Saturday, who are you taking? Where's the money line on? What's the line for that game? Seriously. That's why I have Alabama at that top spot. And look, Ohio State, they're a good team. I just watched them the last 2 weeks against Wisconsin. Rutgers, not overly impressed. I think they're lacking some components on their team. Michigan, them in Penn State. We'll get to see how those two teams fare this coming weekend. Look, Will Riker missed 2 field goals. Not a big deal. Superman has an off night. Then he'll be back in action. It was the first time that he missed a field goal since the last Tennessee game, so it's all good. Coach Oates and the basketball team, they have their season opener tonight. So you got Coach Saban at the podium at 12, along with Jalen Milroe right after. And then tonight, Alabama takes on Morehead State as Alabama basketball open up their season tonight at Coleman Coliseum. Is actually a doubleheader as the women play as well, and we will bring you Nate Oates' press conference as well. All eyes kind of on Grant Nelson, who's a transfer from North Dakota State, who came to Alabama, 6'11", can play at a variety of positions. He can play at the 5, he can play at the 1. I mean, this guy is ultra talented, but it was Estrada who I think ripped off like 23 points or something like that in the scrimmage against Wake Forest, where Alabama then lost 88-80.